Yeah, we had our tenants sold their property to drug dealers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So they sold the property that was not theirs to drug dealers. That's fun. How did you find out about this one?
It was actually our tenant calling us saying that he got chased out of the house with somebody with a knife in their hand.
Problems are what? Problems are profits!
What's going on, everyone? It's Rebecca Lynn Matheson here, aka the Canadian Cottage Girl. Welcome to another episode of the Problems or Profits podcast. We are finishing out season 2 here. I believe we're on the second last episode of season 2 of the Problems or Profits podcast. And I'm very excited to have the Superior Solutions team here on the podcast with me. They actually done a 2-part series on our Problems or Profits Wednesday webinar with us, and we broke down a ton of different topics such as electrical work, lighting, and how to really optimize that side of your investment portfolio. But today we're going to actually break down and talk through how the Superior Solutions brand and company was formed, and really give you guys an opportunity to hear the story of their business and who they are as entrepreneurs. So really excited to have you guys. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into the warm-up questions, I just want to talk a little bit about what Problems or Profits means. And for me, Problems or Profits really is a mantra. It is a phrase that is so impactful to the core of an energy and philosophy and vibe going into business of seeing a challenge in front of you and absolutely finding a way through it. And it might not be what you exactly planned out in the first place, but you're finding a way to move forward and continue to get to the point where you can be successful in your business. And sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes you face problems. Sometimes you face obstacles that are in front of you, but that's part of life. And as long as you're moving forward, even if it's failing forward and falling flat on your face, you're able to pick yourself back up and continue to evolve and grow and build. So I'm really excited to have you guys on. So let's get into the warm-up questions, and I'll have you both answer independent of one another. So one of you can go first and then the other one can go. But first question is just, what is the most expensive thing that you've ever broken?
I haven't broken anything too expensive. I've broken many small things in my lifetime, but the most expensive I'd probably have to say is the rear suspension of a brand new truck.
Oh, how did you do that one?
I was demoing a fireplace and almost triple loaded the truck, and by the end of the day the dump was closed, or any landfill was closed, so the load had to sit there overnight. And after I unloaded it, I realized the suspension was toast.
Dang. Oh, that is so shitty.
It was good. Yeah. Learning experience.
Yeah.
that factory rating means something.
Yes. Yes, it sure does.
Yeah.
Derek coming in hot with the suspension story. What about you, Lauren?
Nothing like nearly as expensive as that. Off the top of my head, probably like a computer screen that I got a computer and I picked it up stupidly by the screen, and crack it went, and I never fixed it. I just kind of kept using it with a cracked screen. So those were the student days.
Yeah, computer screens are hella expensive to get fixed too. I one time closed like a pair of earrings in a laptop screen, and it just like completely obliterated the screen. So those things are not fun to fix.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, okay, next question here is, if you had $1 million and only 24 hours to spend it before it disappears completely, how would you spend it?
Probably buy land.
By land. Okay. Where would you buy some land?
Most likely in Ontario, or maybe Portugal.
Portugal. Okay.
We enjoyed Portugal.
I love that.
Maybe even wholesale deals from you guys.
There we go. More deals.
Yeah.
Take all your
That's
deals
awesome.
across the board.
If it's going to expire in 24 hours, find a way to invest it, while we had some more time to think about it, I guess.
Well, I think land
100%.
is a really good one, because then it's like we can figure out what to do with that land later on, but at least the purchase has been made, right?
Yeah.
And of course, like donations, like to different companies and like help for families and friends, and but I think if it's gonna disappear, you gotta think quick, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've only got 24 hours. All right, next question here is, why are you you?
Ooh.
Why am I me? Probably because of my wits and problem-solving abilities.
Superior solutions.
These hands that do work, and probably my wife and my family that support me and back me up and give me something to smile about when I come home.
Aww.
Absolutely. Love that.
For me, it's everything that I've ever done in my life makes me me, whether it's like the good, the bad, the ugly, like everything has contributed to making me who I am now, I guess. Like my social life and previous jobs that I've had in the past, where you use your social skills to make connections. I think that's like really important. Traveling, definitely. Traveling around the world makes a huge part of who I am. And of course, like our family and our kids being a parent has totally changed me. For the better, and but it's just a whole new world once you become in charge of somebody else's life, right?
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate that, guys. So I'd love to get it. That actually bridges really well into the first question here. So guys, I'm really excited to have you guys on the podcast. So Derek and Lauren, as I said, they were on our Wednesday webinar. They've also done some off-market deals with us, with our team. And I just really wanted to share with the audience your story and some of the challenges that you guys have faced in building your business together, and how it all came to be as well. So before we get into all of that, I'd love for you guys just to do a little introduction as to what it is that you do and what's gotten you to this point that you're in right now.
So we have a general contracting company that kind of started as an electrical company. Well, that's my original background. And after I started in the trades, I branched out quickly, learning from my surroundings and colleagues. And the moment I got my classification so I can open up my own business, I quit my full-time pension job to start my own thing. And it's just branched off from there. And we're moving into bigger and better projects as the day goes on, hiring more people. We're growing exponentially. Mm-hmm. And we're investing along the way, trying to scoop up any deal that we can, that works with the numbers and that we can fit into a schedule. And taking it one day at a time and trying to knock down one beautiful renovation at a time.
Love that. Awesome. Definitely appreciate the background there. And Lauren, where do you fit into all of this?
So I handle all the office admin part of the contracting company, and handle like the social media and the advertising and marketing. But I don't have a background in any of that. Like I didn't go to school for business or marketing or advertising. It was just kind of, I was off with the kids on mat leave, and it just kind of, I needed something else to occupy my mind. And then, so I just kind of dove into it, because I think that something that a lot of general contractors lack is participation in social media. And he's like, that's like beyond him. And so I was like, no, we need social media for our business to grow, right? Like it's free. And, you know, this is our way of advertising and connecting with people around like our area. So, and even, I mean, connecting with you guys, that's how we found you guys that's how I find you guys through social media and YouTube. Right. But, it's, like, I mean, the business, for the first couple years, when I was at work, it's been a slow go. But once we started getting like those pieces in place, and now we're like really a team working, like it's really, really growing, right?
Yeah.
So
she does all of our banking too, all of our billing, our bookkeeping. We've got stacks of receipts from the business, just stacks. And yeah, like many of the tasks I've taken on over the years, this was all new to her. And it's just, you know, our motto is just do it and figure it out as you go. That's the only way to really get it done and learn, right?
Absolutely. It's a very move fast and break things kind of approach, which I love. So Derek, that kind of like do it mentality, that go, is that just always been how you've approached problems, or where does that come from?
Yeah, always. Don't be scared. Just, you know, I have yet to encounter a problem that I haven't been able to come up with a solution. Now, whether that costs money or, you know, I need to get the assistance from a colleague or do some research on YouTube or anywhere, there's always an answer, especially in this age of technology. Mm-hmm. Don't be scared. You'll figure it out. And as long as you keep moving forward, it doesn't matter if you lost. Money comes and goes.
Yeah, and you can just grow from that, right? Like grow
just
from
try to
mistakes.
Make more and move forward.
Absolutely. Now, it's not lost on me that our names are kind of like similar but different in the we're problems or profits, and you guys are the superior solutions.
You know what, when you were explaining that in the beginning, like what problems and profits is, I was thinking like, wow, that's a lot like superior solutions, where you know you have to come up with a creative way in order to you know come out ahead, right? And you got to see that diamond in the rough.
You need to find a superior solution to make a profit from a problem.
That's right. Yeah. We blend well together. Where did you actually come up with the name? Like, how did your business form? When did it form? And how did you actually structure the creation of the business?
Well, since I was, you know, even had my first job when I think I was 14, 15, I knew I was willing to work hard, but I need to be the boss. I have to do my own thing. And I worked for an electrical company for just over 10 years, where I learned lots, and I had the same boss the whole time. And my role became in that company was kind of like the problem fixer. So we have an issue here, find Derek. We have an issue here, go get Derek. And my boss would always say, I like Derek's solution. I like Derek's solution. And then one day everybody was kind of spitballing, what are we going to do with this issue? And he said, Derek's solution is superior. So this was right around the time when I started my company before I quit. And I let him know, like, I've got my master's now. I'm on my way out. I'll give you guys a month. You know, I'm not going to leave you hanging. And it was during then. And I still didn't have the name. We started like the numbered company, but I didn't have the name. And then I thought, Superior Solutions. That's it. It's catchy too, right?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that allusion to problem solving is huge. Like, I think that to be able to go into any situation and be able to not just get stuck, but actually, whether it be doing that extra research, you mentioned going on YouTube, like YouTube University is such a great resource. Like, you can literally YouTube anything. Yeah. You can Google just about anything. It's incredible.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. And it's insane, like the amount of knowledge you can grab, like just from one, I mean, even like from watching you guys, like, and all of the episodes on YouTube, we have so much more knowledge, like for the investing piece, where like a long time ago, it was only American content and it was very little Canadian content. So it's like not everything applies. And you know, as time went on, we kept watching and watching and watching, and it's like you learn little pieces here and there, and you know, it definitely helps you grow.
Yeah, you can only learn so much from those, you know, fairy tale flipping shows on HGTV, right? Or they're going to make $1 million off $100,000 investment.
Yeah, you want to see the real deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So talking about the real deal, what are some real moments that you've had in projects or in business? Like, what are some actual realistic, problematic stories that you've had to overcome, or just like crazy things that you've seen in projects?
I think we need to start with division. Do you want to take it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, when you buy a house, especially if it's been newly renovated, really you gotta think outside the box and really pay attention to certain things, and don't get caught up in the fact that it's new and I don't have to do anything. Be aware of covered floor drains, especially in older homes. First investment property we bought, I think within 3 months we had 2 sewer backups.
Oh,
and there was no floor drain in the apartment. And we also had, when the snow started melting, we had leaks, big leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of small things that you need to pay attention to, except for the fact that this is renovated and it's ready to rent. Because let's say you get the renters in there and then you start, you know, laying back on the couch, counting all the money that you're going to make. And then all of a sudden you get a call, and, you know, what if you have to tear up half that basement and put your tenant up in a hotel?
Right.
You can just kiss those profits goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to pay attention to be wary of newer renovations, you know, flips. A lot of people cut corners with flips because once the property's sold, it's not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not a contract, right?
Absolutely.
So sewer backups, foundation problems with tenants. That's a whole new episode. Tenant problems. We've got some good stories there.
Choose your tenants wisely.
Yeah.
Without naming names, let's go through some stories.
Property.
Yeah, we had our tenants sold their property to drug dealers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So they sold the property that was not theirs to drug dealers. That's fun. How did you find out about this one?
It was actually our tenant calling us saying that he got chased out of the house with somebody with a knife in their hand.
Oh my god!
And he blamed it on us because we allowed them to move into a crappy neighborhood.
So these tenants,
they were drug addicts,
right? And
we assumed that they owed some money. And I know the story was they owed money, and they told the guys, look, our landlords, by law, they can't kick us out for 3 months. They can't do anything.
Right.
So take over the house, do what you want. And, I don't know, they made a side deal. It was a legit, like, The Wire trap house. Like, straight from HBO.
It was definitely an eye-opening experience, which we never saw coming. But like in hindsight, looking back, you know, it was our first investment property. We were a lot younger, and we were so stressed about, you know, what if we don't get this rented? Then we have to cover the mortgage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know, now we know, don't take that chance. It's going to be a lot worse in the long run. And
let the house sit vacant for 2 months to get those perfect tenants, rather than get the quick, easy, cheap ones.
Yeah.
You know, if a tenant's willing to pay whatever you ask, well, maybe they'll pay that first and last, but then you might be out 6 months rent.
Yeah.
Right.
And the cleanup. Yeah,
that was really bad.
Yeah.
I wish, actually, I don't even think that we documented that, but no, it was scary. It was what we saw.
needles everywhere, mattresses everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
we sold that property. we didn't want to. We kind of wanted to move forward from that terrible experience.
There's bad juju in that property.
Yeah. And then other properties, another one the property itself was really nice, and Derek renovated the whole thing, but it was not what we like. It was not our strategy. We like to go for duplex conversions and dupers, and we totally wanted to like experiment, like, oh, maybe this isn't something that we might like to do now. And so we tried to do a flip, and
didn't work.
Yeah, we couldn't get what we wanted to even break even with it, or for a little bit of a profit.
I would have worked for free for the summer, and the real estate agent would have been making way more than us. So
oh no.
It worked out in the end. We turned it into a rental property, and we've got lovely tenants there that have been there long term. So it is a bonus that it worked out nicely. But it's like, you hear now, like on videos, don't stray away from your strategy. And it's true. Like once you have a strategy in place, keep it, because it's working for a reason, right? It works well with the way that we like to do things. And, we've got systems set up now where we use property management companies, and like he does the maintenance with his staff, but we have eliminated a lot of headaches but continue on the same strategy.
Especially the bit of a scare tactic when you get a big sounding name property management company working for you with their contracts, tenants. You eliminate the old calling you up with the sob story, and then you having to feel like you want to help. Now it's just business.
Right. Absolutely. And also the tenant management or property management companies, like they're the ones who are going to have to deal with the tenants. So they tend towards getting good tenants in the units,
right.
So they can do less work, which is a win-win for everyone.
Since that first property, we definitely upped our tenant screening game because we weren't going down that road anymore. And so there was a lot more due diligence in place, like before we even started using the property management company, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, well, so you've tried out various strategies. It's not gone well in some elements, gone well in other elements. So what is your investing strategy now? Like, what are the things you're focused on? What are you doubling down on now that you've kind of like dipped your toe in a bunch of different types of strategies? What are you really doubling down on and trying to expand upon in your business model?
Well, with the business growing and taking on larger renovations, everybody in every business learns every day. So we're learning and evolving. And with every investment property we get, we're learning and evolving. Our strategy is buy a house that needs work, turn it into a duplex, and do the BRRRR strategy. Mm-hmm. The market's insane. And, we need a bit more of a margin to purchase a property than, what might be out there, because, we're looking for a cash on cash return as our base investment, and appreciation to mortgage pay down. I mean, that's just gravy. We don't want to count on that. So we might be a little bit more conservative with our purchases from here on out, but we're definitely willing to pull the trigger when the time is right. Mm-hmm. We would like to do flips in the future, but again, the price has to be right, because these days, you do all the work, all the sweat, and with a proper agent, you pay them what they're worth, but they're going to end up making more money than you.
Right.
And that was also like that flip that we tried. That was also before we even knew anything about wholesaling. So it's like we already paid the premium price, like, because this is at the very beginning when the market started like increasing. This is years ago, but if we would have known about wholesaling at that point, maybe we would have done a lot better, right? Because we wouldn't have paid that premium price to get in and then renovate and then sell. So I mean, but even now that we know about wholesaling, we've already figured out that that's the strategy that we like is the burr. And, we might change things like, our Belleville Beauty is a lot more work than any other house that we've ever worked on before, right? Because it had a lot of the exterior damage too.
Yeah.
So that was, a challenge, but it's definitely a benefit because it's helping him grow as well. And like us as a business in what we're capable of doing and, what we can manage. And so it's definitely a profit.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And for you guys, how have you been managing it as a couple working in a business and also with your family? Like that, you're balancing quite a lot. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, like what that's like in working together hand in hand as a couple, and then also in balancing that with running a family as well.
Well, we're both consistently moving, busy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's I think in the last 2 years, we've watched maybe 3 movies together. The rest of our time, once the kids are down in the evening, is either watching content on real estate or, some sort of personal growth or some sort of, research or doing quotes and invoices. And even some evenings we have to decide, do we want to send out quotes for new business or send out invoices to collect, back payments?
Yeah.
Or researching properties.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's getting busy. And as the kids get a little bit older, hopefully it'll get a little bit easier. But it's a tough balance. But I don't know, when things calm down and the business runs itself and the kids are more self-sufficient, I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves because we're going to be so used to mayhem.
100%. Now, do you guys sit down and go over the goals, or at this point, now that you have the business set up, are you just like in sprinting mode? Like you're just in like, all right, we've got all of these things to do. Let's just grind, get it done. Or do you ever take time to sit back and reflect and kind of action plan on next steps?
Yeah, I don't think we actually sit down and brainstorm about our goal. I mean, we both have a general goal in mind. I mean, my goal, yeah. Well, I think our goal with the business is for me to be a little more hands off by 40, which is creeping up in a couple of years. And you accumulate a certain amount of properties by that time too, and maybe start stepping back. And it's the business is growing now in the last year quicker than I thought. And as far as the investment portfolio, I mean, it can grow as quick as the deals are coming out.
I don't think anybody saw that this growth would be happening so rapidly, like because of the demand of the industry. But it's, we, prior to this, we had like a set, goal of like, okay, hire an employee each year and, we'll take on a little bit more contracts each year. But now it's just like scaled so fast that there's other obstacles now in our way that, hiring people, like trying to get a skilled worker so that we can take on more contracts, because we want to make sure that our company is still intact and that we're going to handle things that, the way that we expect them to. And so like just hiring and taking on more contracts again, it's like, we're still scaling and we keep reviewing, okay, well, how much can we take on at once? But then also we have to mix in our personal investments and make sure that we can handle that too. And so, it's definitely, and then of course, like making sure that there's family time and, some things we might not be able to participate in because how can we do that and have our little kids at home? And because they're so young and so dependent, right? So like Derek said, maybe once they become older, it might be a little bit easier to do things. But we
definitely have our foot on the gas. So
Love that. Well, now's the time, right? Like as the demand is there, now is the time to have the foot on the gas. And one of the things that I'd love to review with you guys. So you've obviously been in a position of growth, and right now you're in it. You're in the weeds of like things are being thrown at you, and you're growing and building and still making time for everything. So in making time is the big key word there. Is that there isn't an abundance of it. There's actually less time than we would hope for in a day most times. So how many employees do you have now? And then where are you at in that hiring and training process? And I'd love to hear what that is like, what that experience is like from your side of things, from the contracting side of the business. Like, how do you find good people?
Finding good people is not hard. There's a lot of good people out there, but finding someone who understands your expectations and can work up to your expectations is a little tough. I always expect way more out of myself. I rarely reach my own expectations. I always think more can get done. So you're gonna have to step back and realize that you may need an extra day or two or a week to get things done. During the hiring process, I've had several interviews booked where somebody just didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think these younger generations, they want high-paying jobs for little work, and many people don't understand that if you just you put in the work, you can write your own ticket. Because all of my guys, I'm training them to essentially. We have 6 employees now. We will probably have to hire another 2 or 3 in the coming new year. And the guys I have now, I'm going to be looking for them to help run my company. So they get taught everything along the way. They learn from all my mistakes. And I hope that they absorb it all, because we've got a lot upcoming in the new year.
Yeah, I think that what you said there is really important about patience in the building phase, and it's sometimes hard to be patient, but that is exactly when you have a good setup, when you have a mentor. Like you mentioned, you were 10 years in the business that you were in before. Like that's no short period of time. And in that time, you were building and growing and developing and learning from all of the people around you until you got to the position where you were ready to sprint on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're able to be in a position to give back to the people that are underneath you, build and grow and develop them, so that one day one of them can step up too and be in that spot and elevate. How do you overcome that? Because I've heard that actually, and even in the wholesaling game, like we're experiencing this from all fronts. I think all industries right now are experiencing this, where it's hard to find good people who will remain committed, or good people who will stay focused on that one task and to the point where they can get to that elevated level. How do you really like adopt that with people, or is it just something that has to be there? Like, is that something that you can instill in someone, or what are your typical strategies as a mentor or leader?
Well, it depends on the person, right? Some people absorb better than others. But especially with my younger guys and my original guys, they've seen me come from the bottom, and they've literally seen me, buying these properties. And they're asking me, how are you buying all these properties? And I said, well, we buy one, renovate it, leverage it, and buy another. And we're even buying properties before we even know how we can finance it, and just figure, well, we're going to figure it out. There is always a way, and you just got to keep your head down and keep moving. And I'm teaching them everything along the way, teach them from all my mistakes, teaching about real estate investing. So they're really seeing what I have to offer, and what this is better than any university education that they could ever ask for.
Mm-hmm.
So, to become loyal and really sticking to me, because I mean, it's obvious that they're not sticking around just for, a crappy job for the next 20 years. Like,
right.
They can see that, what the bigger picture, right? And
I've got apprentices who drive their own truck. I've got, guys who've been with me for a year who are doing jobs on their own because I've thrown them into the mix, taught them what they need to do, and said, here, no one taught me. I taught you. Now you go do it. And they're coming along.
And we've actually become very lucky with our employees that all of our employees are very loyal, like
very good guys.
Yeah. And like trustworthy guys, and they show up every day. Like we don't have those kind of problems where you hear other contractors, that their employees just might not show up, especially over the past couple of years. But yeah,
we've been lucky like that.
Yeah.
Right. And we've always felt like if you're not up to the cut, you're gone. And I haven't even considered that with any of my guys.
Mm-hmm. And even with the hiring, like I feel like you're very picky, which I mean is a good thing because that's how we ended up with the people that we have. And he'd rather just like push back a contract in order to make sure that he has the correct people in staff so that there aren't any like mistakes. And we get a lot of applicants that might be involved in like the construction world, but not necessarily specifically with the trade that we're looking for. And so, Derek knows like, okay, well, I have this contract coming up and this contract coming up, so that person might not be a right fit right now, right? But yeah.
Yeah, you don't need 12 carpenters when you're, doing tiling and finishing work and lots of electrical stuff. So you gotta pick and choose and strategize. It's been working out, but it's a wild ride. I'm in 3 different cities some days, supervising 3 different jobs, and sometimes I like to work, but sometimes I don't have a chance to get my hands on the tools. And then other days I have to just to meet deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think actually something that you said there is really important, and I want to draw a parallel here between your hiring and training process and also your tenant placement process, because this is actually there are parallels to be drawn, and I think that all skills that you gain from any industry and business, it can be leveraged across the board, across your investing strategies, and across your business entrepreneurial journey. And I think going through that initial tenant phase where you dealt with the shitty tenants that sold your property to a drug dealer, it's just like, yeah, you have to be careful about who you hire, who you bring into your company, and actually vet those people to the fullest extent. And if it means pushing back timelines, that's okay to do, because getting the right person is so essential, because those are the people representing you. And I can definitely hear in how you're describing this process a very similar parallel in that learning and who you're placing, because absolutely we've all heard of those like crazy stories of contractors not showing up, or like those nightmare tenants, and like all of those things it comes from that initial phase of literally, did they show up to the interview, even like did they follow the process that I outlined for them, and really like, did I get the good vibes from them? Are they actually trained in the thing that is required for the upcoming projects? Like those are all really important elements to consider as a business owner. So I think it's actually a really cool parallel in those stories of like how that's evolved between both sides of the investing as well as the business.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like even any kind of problem that you come across is going to help you grow, right? For yourself, and exactly what you're saying, like, how to work your way through future problems to come.
Absolutely. Now, for you guys, obviously you only have so much time. Like you are running a family, you've got a full-time business, you're also investing yourselves. So what are some opportunities that you see in your industry, or maybe outside of your industry, that like Lauren and Derek just don't have the time for right now? But if you had an abundance of time, money, and energy, you would definitely pursue that. But right now you maybe can't because of all of the other commitments that you have. So someone who's young, an inspiring entrepreneur or an inspiring young gun who's working for you guys, maybe if they have that time and energy, this is a potential opportunity that they could pursue. Like what is that thing that's on your radar that you just don't quite have the time to take down right now?
Be opening up side companies, companies that I might rely on, and open up another business that can satisfy that. Like one simple one for any young entrepreneur is cleaning business. This is geared towards contractors.
Okay.
And someone who actually knows how to clean, doesn't just wipe here. Someone who lifts something up and wipes underneath.
Yep.
That's the type of stuff you have to expect. And every contractor, sometimes I have my guys clean the sites, but they don't do it right. They pack up the tools, they do a quick sweep, but you want a real clean to really impress your clients. That's I think that's maybe it's a dime a dozen, but I think that'd be a good easy way to start for any young entrepreneur. And there are many other little businesses, handyman stuff, that I turn down work left, right, and center because certain jobs require me to visit them so many times and then have two different guys there. It just doesn't make sense for me to take on. So even through YouTube, handyman jobs, hanging a light fixture, fixing a patch in the wall, stuff like that. There is
So much
millions of dollars out there to be made by a handyman who's courteous, clean, and honest to cater to all these homeowners who don't have the time or don't have the skills to do all these little things.
Like the investing side, scaling up faster, right? Like over the years, we've accumulated properties, every couple years, and this past year, like more so. But if we had more time in the day, and maybe if our kids were a little bit older, we'd probably be having our eye on a lot more properties and being involved with a lot more properties. And then, so that would be us like scaling as the general contracting company, but also the investing, because we take on more contracts, hire more people, and then keep going and going.
And maybe, we always have our eyes out for deals, and in our area that we like to focus on, the deals are scarce and they're expensive. So it would be nice to branch out further from our home. Maybe it's a little easier to make money because you don't have to invest so much because of the price of the properties, but I can't afford to be everywhere. So that's
Absolutely.
the thing is if I had more time, maybe I'd have more time to travel and start, building networks and crews in other cities. But that takes time. I don't even like to rely on subcontractors because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And all my guys are right here. And with the place in Belleville, I was blessed to have, the guys that I have out here to travel out there for me. At an increased expense, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to hiring a stranger.
Well, and it was very difficult to source different trades out there.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of why we looked back at all of our guys out here and said, okay, well, can you travel with us, right?
It's hard to build a network in a new town. For sure. So
if you have time, it's easy.
Yeah.
But we don't have time.
I love that. Well, definitely. I mean, there are tons of ideas there. I think the cleaning service business is a huge one, and I think that goes, as you mentioned, construction crews. Like that's something that not a lot of people think of when you're like starting up a business. Like, hey, construction crews actually also need a cleaning service. I'd say to branch off of that, like Airbnb cleaning services, huge right now, like huge. So hard to find a good cleaner. And then you also mentioned just like sourcing and building and networking in specific industries, like and being able to be that expansion piece for investors. I think that's huge, to know who the good contractors are, know who the trusted ones are beyond just the scope of your team, because it is hard to find good people, as we kind of highlighted in that hiring riff. And I think just having more time and opportunity just to continue to grow and expand some side businesses, some sub trades and handyman. I think that those are all really great ideas for a young, inspiring investor or entrepreneur to get into. Also, all of those things like get you in the foreground of working directly with investors and mentors. And I want to emphasize something that Derek, you mentioned about like being in that initial industry and like gaining all of these skills as you came up, and now you're able to provide that mentorship on to the next generation coming up, which I think is really pertinent and essential. And mentorship doesn't always like look like what people think it does. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just gonna, reach out to my mentor on social media and then we'll suddenly be mentor and mentee. And like, that's not always how it happens. Like social media is great for connecting, but like there has to be some sort of value trade there where like you're providing value to the mentor and the mentor is providing value to you, and you're both working in this symbiotic relationship. So I think actually the sub trades do this so well through apprenticeships. Like I think that this is a really fantastic example of a really great mentor-mentee relationship where one person is working for the other one, but still making money and earning a living while they're learning all of these valuable skill sets. So I think that there are certainly a lot of opportunities there to be had in those sub trades, and also just working in and around somebody who is investing and doing exactly what you want to be doing. And then from a business owner perspective, you actually highlighted there creating a roadmap for your employees where it's not necessarily a virtuous, like, hey, this is the pathway that you're going to go down and it's going to be a sunny brick road. Like they can just see you leading by example by buying one house after another and like going through these projects, like, and then being transparent and documenting your journey. By doing that, by showcasing exactly what you're doing, it allows them this like bird's eye scope to actually look up to you even more and to see you as that leader of like, oh, if Derek can do it, I can do it. And then it gets them fired up. So I think that there's a lot to be said about the approach that you guys are taking in building and growing this business. And it's so cool to have you guys on the podcast and previously on the webinar, because I think it really does expand and open up an opportunity for people to see and hear the background, the struggles that you went through. Like buying that first property, that was not easy. Like you went through a lot of trials and tribulations in that process. And I'm sure when you were going through it, like it was shit. Like you were in the weeds there. Like that is wild to actually experience that, especially the cleanup that you mentioned afterwards. So I just really want to highlight those things. And for anyone listening, guys, what is the best way for people to reach out to you?
So definitely through Instagram, Superior Solutions, and we're on Facebook, as well as our website, superiorsolutionscontracting.ca. And of course, you can always look them up on Google and give them a call.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I'll let you guys kind of finish off here. Do you have any final thoughts or any words that you want to add to end the podcast out?
You're putting it on me. So definitely, if you're a new investor, take advantage of everything that Rebecca is putting out there for content, and Matt McKeever and Adam Martin, because there is a wealth of knowledge out there and it will help you, because not only do you focus on the, hey, here's some properties and this is what I did, you cover mortgages, you cover previous people that are doing Airbnbs, you highlight contractors and electricians. You are painting the whole scope and doing it in a Canadian perspective, which is amazing. So, if you're ready to learn, like that's all we do is just watch your videos, as well as, we've started like focusing on people around here as well and educating ourselves. And that's how we grew. Right.
Yeah. And don't listen to naysayers. A lot of people's parents are always telling them how risky real estate is. Well, it's appreciated since the beginning of time, and God is not making any more land. So don't be scared.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a difficult time jumping into real estate investing because, you know, all the people around them say how difficult it is, and, you know, you can't do that, you don't have this. And, you know, so if you're listening to that, then you're not going anywhere. And, you know, if you ignore all those, you know, negative thoughts and you go to what you actually want, you're going to get it, and you're going to be happy with your decision, and you're going to profit from it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks again for coming on the Problems or Profits podcast. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on. And sneak peek or surprise little announcement here on the Problems or Profits podcast is we're actually going to be doing some more content. So stay tuned on the Canadian Real Estate channel for a little project update of the Superior Solutions current ongoing conversion project. Guys, just an absolute pleasure. So thank you for coming on, and we will see you all on the next one.
Great.
Peace.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.